Hey everybody, welcome to today's feedback video. And you can also get feedback on your work. See the description under this video on how to do that. So let's look at this cool drawing from Avi. And you asked about construction of the seal. So let me just show you how I would draw that. So I think So first, my question is what. Let me take the right brush. What is happening? Or even better, what is the story? And if I have to say, so the seal, and I think that's most clear in this one, the seal is shocked by the fish, or what the fish is telling. So it's a little bit hard to say what's going on. So maybe try to think about what are you making this drawing for. I can understand if there's someone here that's saying there's a shark coming or something, then that makes sense. But now it's a bit hard to tell me for what's going on. If this was a shark or something, or maybe an orca, then that would make maybe a bit more sense. So yeah, I'm just wondering, maybe I'm just being stupid and I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something, can also be, but I think it's really good to think about it also from the perspective from someone who didn't make the art. So if he's scared, and I like that about this one, and that's the question, if he's scared, because here he looked more worried and here's more scared. So here, I think this one works really well for when he's looking like this. So I think in this one as well, the construction works a little bit better. So maybe these ears, you can put these ears up like this, and then stretch his body, and then maybe using these fins like something like this. And let's make this smaller. So like this, and then we have this fish here. Just this fish jumping. Is this? We could make this fish jumping. Maybe this fish scares him because he's jumping out of the water. Then maybe we could do something like this. Then maybe some splash out of it. You can also use a bit of this axis so that it's a bit more dynamic. So maybe you can even draw the fish more 3D-ish way. So maybe something like this. So there's a lot of things you could play around with. So maybe something here. And then what I like here is that you use these mountains to block this in. So I actually like that. So maybe you can do something like this. Then put this sun here. So I actually think this looks fine because that's that graphical style. So there's not that much wrong with maybe with that mouth. So if this is his mouth, so something, maybe you could show a little bit of the inwards of his mouth, something like this. I don't know. That makes sense if you can look a bit in his mouth instead of it looks like this. So this feels a bit more 3D, but otherwise really nice. And make sure that this eye really looks like he's watching at this one. So there's this connection between them. So thanks for your work, Avi. So let's look at this drawing from Frank. So that's cool. So let's focus on that line of action. Let's turn this off. So I think I would push it all a little bit more. So you're putting this head more up. Your rough sketch. So maybe I'm changing the design a little bit, but I want to focus more on this action. So maybe something like this. He's really holding it in the air. And he's pushing his chest into the front. Maybe his arm should also be a bit more. Oh. His arm should also be a bit more like this. And his eyes should be more here. And then I think I would have this arm like this. So you have this sense there. I think that would make more sense. And I like what you did with those legs like this here. Maybe you can stretch this one. That this feet is a bit aimed this way and this feet here. So here, and then because this one's stretched, you have this also here, this complex versus simple. Then we can use this tail also like this. So you get this line of action in it. So try to smash Fury. So really try to get that energy in your drawings. Great work, Frank. Keep that up. And I think your construction and your technique and your line art's really cool. You have your own style. So maybe sketch a little bit more and try to get that gesture, that energy in your drawings, that flow. So let's look at Christy. So this is a cool sketch. So I think he ate all of his food. So let's see, what could we do? Really like it actually. And what we could do is maybe try to draw him maybe from a more 3/4 perspective. So I think that's something you could try out. So I think especially when you want to show your drawing capabilities, it's more interesting to show this 3/4 perspective. So using these balls here. Maybe you try that, and it's always good to try all these different angles. So what I like about views like this is that it's less, so this feels still a bit symmetrical, and this feels a bit more asymmetrical. So I think that's something I always try to go for. So here, and then maybe you can use this tail more like this here. I think that's also good too. So maybe he's leaning against something. You can use this here, this food there. Maybe he's sleeping because he ate so much. Maybe there's a mouse looking into it for some leftovers or something. Or maybe he's picking up or something. So maybe you could do something like that to add some story. It doesn't need to be, but I think if maybe if he's closed his eyes, he's sleeping because he ate a lot and he's comforted. So great work, Christy. So the feedback is basically maybe try to draw it from a more different angle. So you have that more. You can play around with making. I think oftentimes this is more interesting than this symmetrical view. So a question from why you asked what these layers are in that example you showed. So when we're, for example, I'm painting something here. There's this green here. And maybe there's the sun here. Let's make this a different color, blue. So something like this. So we could put this in a folder, and we can, I think, how it works if we make this selection here, and we press this button, for example, UV saturation, you get this. So you get this icon, and then you can play around with the colors, and it's a mask. So if I'm doing this, then you see, so it's a mask with a layer effect. So, but we can also remove this one, make again a selection, and do levels. So, and then you get this other stuff. And again, you can do this, so you can play around with that selection. So you can use it as a mask and play around. So I would advise you to play around. It's not that I actually don't use this too much. So I'm wondering what that specific icon is. Channel mixer. So there are some more. So, but that's basically so you can press this, and then you can choose one of these effects. And I can tell from here what that specific effect is, but it's something like that, which you can use for painting, for color adjustments and stuff. So let's look at the drawing from Geoffrey. So this is a cool study, and these are great to do to improve your art. What I really like about it is that you can see this clear line action in it. So that's cool. So let me show here. So if we're drawing this head like this here. So and when you're drawing some studying like this, try to really draw these also these shapes, because for my feeling, we should see this nose a bit more from the side. So try really to think about how to use shapes. Also here, this hair, from a feeling, it should go a little bit around here, and it shouldn't be that flat. I really like this part. It's really looks really cool. Also think about how these lines going around. You're doing great. Also here, this, I don't know if this is supposed to be this Q, or maybe, try to think about how these shapes are going around. So when you're making a study about this, so don't simply try to copy the drawing, but also try to think about how the shape go around. So I think here something, this part feels a bit messy, and this also. I don't know, maybe it's the 3D because it's 3D. And I think here this, when you're having a shirt on, and I think you shouldn't see this part going. So if this is your hand or your arm, then you would be like this, and it wouldn't be like this, because it would be pulled down by gravity. So try to think about that. Then here, then we have this cloning. I think yeah, I wouldn't show that much. I would keep this more like this than actually. So this is connected to that part. So watch out with getting too meshy. Also here this. So it's good that this line is going around it, but you don't have to show this. I think, and that's not correct. I would also simplify this like this, but that also depends a bit on the reference. Also here with this hand, here this feels a little bit too much. So I would maybe do something like this. So, and also when I'm drawing this hand, so it's cool that you have maybe one finger going up, and then these other fingers maybe a bit more connected. Or try to simplify stuff a little bit. Sometimes at some points there's a little bit too much detail, so be careful about it. Also here, this feels also really cramped. Maybe also for the yeah, you can choose to make these all separate, but maybe you can also choose to not put so much detail in those teeth, because especially when you're going from 3D to 2D, watch out with the amount of details you put into it. Also here for these shoes, I really think about how are those on the ground in 3D. So I really think about that perspective on the ground and how those feet are standing on the ground. And watch out for these straight lines there. So great work, Jeffrey. So let's look at this storyboard from Lucas. So cool. What I really like about that, yeah, it's really clear now. It's so that is awesome. Keep that up. So maybe what you could maybe try. So for example, line weight or something. It can be a bit more sketchier. So what I would look is again look up Frozen 2 storyboards, or look up the art from Toby Shelton. And there are more storyboard artists out there, and their drawing style is really interesting. So maybe, yeah, that's interesting to see. So I think also your drawings look a little bit too clean. There's, I think it can be a bit more, more rough. But I like the value levels. And maybe you can play around a bit with the brushes. So what I also sometimes like is put the transfer off, and then brush tip size, make it like this, these settings. Yeah, and then you have a brush that's more like a marker. So sometimes even for, especially for this face, for example, so sometimes it's just okay to lines like this. So I think you can be a bit more rough with your sketches as well. So it will also help you to draw quicker. So what a lot of storyboard artists do, they they don't erase their stuff. They draw it in one go, something like that. So if you can get that quick, because I think these are really clear, so that's great. And I think what you can try to make is to develop an art style that you can draw in one go, and that you learn how to draw all these things in one go with a sketch that is still sketchy, quick, but also clear. Toby Shelton is really an artist that is really takes a lot of time for storyboards and super clean, and I don't know if he takes that much time, but his drawings look really like his storyboards are the most clean and elaborate that I actually know of from these kind of storyboards I look at. But I think if you check the Frozen storyboards, that you can see some really rough drawings, but they're still super clear. So maybe check that out, or maybe some other Disney movie storyboards from some other animation. And I would try to work on that. And so, and your drawing is really great, and the storytelling, I can really tell what's going on. And yeah, and so I hope, yeah, what I hope for you is that you get more dynamic with your drawing, a bit more quicker and looser, so that you get loose with your drawing, but that stays clear. Because you need to be able to draw really fast when you're storyboarding. So thanks for your work, Lucas. Let's look at Sian. So let's check this out. That's a cool drawing, and you mentioned you used the different lines type against each other, so that's cool. So I think maybe even that you can use this line. What you could do with this line is going maybe that this is maybe a bit straight, then here's an S shape, and this is straight shape. And then here we have this S, and then here we maybe have a C shape, and then here these fingers. Think about like that, and then this part. So think about how this goes around. So I wouldn't watch out with using too much details like that. I think one fold is enough there. So I would maybe use a line like this for this arm there. And then we have this breast, maybe a line like this here. And then an S shape maybe here or something, or maybe more like this. I don't know, sure. So really try, I think you can even use a little bit more simple, clear lines, but I think you're doing really good here. This is also nice. So I think one line is enough, or something like this here. Maybe use this, just use this or something. So don't be scared to simplify simplify stuff. And also here, think about how this goes around the body. So how this moves around. So also with this front view, still think about those basic shapes and how stuff wraps around. So you don't, so for example, if we have this cylinder and we're drawing around, that you're really trying to think how does it goes around, instead of that you're using something like this, so that this doesn't feel really round, so it almost feels like this, and this feels more round. So here this is too sharp, and this feels more rounded. So yeah, try to think about it. Also, you're maybe, if this medallion is on the side, it would look more like an oval that has this angle. So if it's could be flat, but then I would expect it. It would be here. Maybe that works even better or something. I don't know. It's cool. I like it. So maybe you can. So if there's perspective and we're at the same height as her, then we would look down on the feet a little bit. So then maybe you would see a bit of the feet here. I think that works a little bit better if you see a little bit perspective on those feet. So think about perspective for the feet. I think that works. Yeah, it gives a little bit extra dynamic, and then you can also use that for this part again, so that you're getting a little bit of extra depth by doing that. Yeah, so cool. Maybe we can use this a bit in the front. And here, what's happening here, you have a shape that's almost like this and this. So maybe you can use a shape that's a bit like this and then straight or something, so that you don't have the same shapes on both sides. But great work, Sion. Keep it up. Keep working. Maybe another thing you could do is give these outer lines maybe a little bit thicker, and then also here these overlapping lines are also really important. Maybe this is an overlapping line, but that you make some lines a bit thicker. For example, these big lines thicker, and then here lines like here with the stump thinner, and these lines are thin, and then maybe these are a little bit thicker, etc. So think of the line weight. But thanks for your work, Sion. And that's the last one. I want to thank everyone for sending their work. And let me know if you have any more questions or any more feedback you want to send to me. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.